Hi, Yunan. Sorry I can't be there today, but I'm just going to go through pretty much the last thing that I'm going to be teaching you before the test that we'll be doing next week. So, just a quick refresher on what we did last lesson. We looked at what's called the electron configurations. These are the arrangement of the electrons in the shells around an atom. So, if we were to pick something like hydrogen, so hydrogen, the atomic number is 1, and that tells us in the nucleus there is 1 proton. And when we have our regular hydrogen atom, the number of protons is going to equal the number of electrons. So it'll be 1 electron as well. And that's going to go in our first shell. So we can draw it as a cross or a dot, doesn't really matter. Now, if we pick some other element, so let's say fluorine. So fluorine, the atomic number is 9. So it has 9 protons in the center. So I'm just going to, instead of drawing all the parts in the center, I'm just going to write a little F, and then I'm going to put in the electrons around it. Now I need to fill in 9. Now remember that we can fit 2 in the first shell, and then up to 8 in the next. But I've already got 2 here, so I need 7 more. So I've got 2 so far, I need 7 more. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm filling them up in a certain way where I've put in 4 spots and then pairing them up. But either way, that gives us our 9. So this here is our drawn electron configuration for fluorine. The written version would be writing down the number in each shell, one after the other. So in the first shell we have 2, that's these 2 here. And the next shell we have 7, and it's going to be comma separated. So 2, 7. Now for something like chlorine, which is the atomic number is, I believe, I think it's 17. I'll just quickly check. I'm just using ptable.com, and it is 17. So chlorine has 1 shell, second shell, and I know it has a third shell because it's in the third row on the periodic table. So we want 2 in the first one. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the next, and that gives us 10 overall. And now I need to put 7 in the next shell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's our drawn one. We have 17. We had 2 in the first, 8 in the second, and the remaining 7 to make up our total of 17 goes in the third. Now remember, the first shell can only fit 2, the second shell can only fit 8, the third shell can fit up to 18. So we only needed to put 7 this time. And the configuration written is 2 in the first, 8 in the second, and then 7 in the third. So these electron configurations are specifically for the atoms. So these are all what we call neutral atoms, where the proton number equals the electron number. Now, this is not always the case. So the worksheet that you're going to be doing today is mostly going to be on what we call ions. So IONS. Now, these are similar to atoms, but they're similar to atoms, but with unequal numbers of protons and electrons. So before we had even numbers, so they were equal numbers, so 17 protons for chlorine and 17 electrons, 9 for fluorine, 9 of each. But ions are versions of those where they've either gained or lost electrons, so that the numbers are not even anymore. So if we have extra, well actually no, let's rewrite, more protons than electrons, our ion is positive. Because protons are positive, electrons are negative. If we have more positives than negative, we have a positive ion. Now, if we have more electrons than protons, we have a negative ion because there's more negative charges than positive charges. Now, however many extra protons than electrons there are in the first instance will tell us how big that charge is, so +1 or +2 or +3. In the second one, more electrons than protons. If we have one extra, it'll be -1. If we have two extra electrons, two extra negative charges, it'll be -2. So I think you now have enough information to draw the ion versions of some of the elements from the worksheet. This here is pretty much the last thing that we're going to be doing before we start revising for the test, which you'll hopefully get to do in the second half of this lesson. Good luck.